2022 we sectioned off about 1/8 of an acre of paddock. This had been overgrazed, so the soil was compacted and has a lot of running grass. Breaking ground for the first time with a plough is challenging, so we went over this area with a set of discs to break the ground and also break the grass. We started ploughing in September 2022, which is the Southern Hemisphere spring. We used the equipment we had on hand at the time, which in this case was a single furrow orchard plough, smaller plough than what is ideal, but it got the job done. After ploughing, we disc, but the ride-on discs were a bit rocky and rolly with the terrain, so we abandoned that idea in favour of the springtimes. This rocking and bouncing action is pretty much the same movement we were getting with the ride-on discs, which is why we chose the safer option of walking. This soil is quite a sandy loam, so it changes a lot, and we let it sit for a little while, a couple of weeks, and the grass started to grow back really quickly. So after a few weeks where it had settled, we went back over it with the springtimes, and then later on with some harrows. The moisture content changes really fast. So when we get a couple of weeks of rain, it really soaks up the water really well. But then it also dries off quite quickly on that very top layer. Like you can see the horses kicking up a little bit of dust there when they step into it. Our harrowing was followed by quite a substantial amount of rain, which delayed planting of potatoes until early November, which is late for us. We added our composted horse manure to the potatoes on planting and as a top dress, and they were up within 2 weeks. The crop that you can see next to the potatoes there is corn, which will feature in a different video. Our next stage is hilling, which we could have done a little earlier. The plants are a little bit bigger than what is ideal. Again, using the equipment we have on hand, we didn't have a hiller, so we chose to use the single furrow plough, and we went up and down the rows in a pattern that made the furrow turn the soil onto the plant. This method worked okay for its purpose, and we managed to bury approximately half of the leaves. Because we did use the single furrow plough to get this done, it left us with trenches down each side of the rows. So then we needed to fix that, which we chose to do by swapping out the plough for a scarifier so that we could go up and down the rows and smooth out those trenches. The scarifier is a nice, easy implement for a single horse to use, and we found that 3 passes over each trench was enough to be able to smooth that out, as well as taking out any weeds that were starting to pop up between the rows. Then we applied fertiliser. So we use a pelletised organic life fertiliser, and we distributed that with a hand crank machine, which spread it out quite nice and evenly. We don't use chemical sprays for weeds, so it's a constant battle, and we keep on top of that by regular scarifying up and down the rows next to the potatoes. Because we planted late, we also harvested late. Now we're in March of 2023, it's time to harvest. We purchased ourselves a potato plough and we were so keen to get this on film. Unfortunately, the device that helps the camera to follow us decided to look at something else and missed the whole lot. But our potato plough did a great job of bringing our potatoes to the surface. We like to involve as many of our horses as possible in our farming process. This is our 3-year-old stock horse, quarter horse cross, who is a ridden horse, and this is his introduction to also being a pack horse. This was a really great educational opportunity for this young fella. Potatoes are quite heavy for us to carry, and multiple trips to and from the shed is time consuming. So being able to go through and pick up as we go, and for Banj to carry many more than what we can, it was such a time saver for us. Our 2022-23 potato crop was not the bountiful crop that we got the year before, but it's still enough to be able to sell a few and use ourselves for most of the year. One of the benefits of planting potatoes is that it did a fantastic job of breaking up and aerating that really compacted soil that we started with. At the time, we were patting ourselves on the back of what a great job we'd done in picking up the potatoes, but we found that it only took a sprinkle of rain overnight to reveal that there was still plenty more there. So a bit more scarifying with the horses and picking up after them so that none of them get stood on. Seemed to do a pretty good job, and we have most of them now. Turns out me walking past with a bucket was way more distracting for poor Tommy than what I realised it would be. We were really pleased with the changes we saw in this soil after growing potatoes. Once we had collected pretty much all of the potatoes, we added some more organic matter, disced it in, getting ready for the next crop. We started with soil that was very compacted due to overgrazing, and have finished the season with soil that's light, airy, fluffy and ready to plant again. We hope you've enjoyed watching our potato crop.